Hello and welcome to another episode of the Underhive Lorekeepers podcast, the number one Necromunda lore podcast, now coming at you from a hole in the ground full of nothing but Manvant. As always, I am Spamiel, and actually coming at me from a remote location, the mysteriously missing Manvant himself, Nathan. How are you, buddy?
I'm okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Mysteriously missing. I'm here.
Yes, but you're not currently here.
Discredit me.
I don't need to discredit you. You discredit yourself. Now, listeners, this is a bit of a weird episode because Nathan has been called away for his job again, and as such, he is in a place that is so behind the times that the local population is actually currently learning about the upcoming Y2K virus. And let's just say, it's going to be an interesting few years for them. So, yeah, this episode's going to be a weird one. But first, Nathan, how are you? How was working away?
How was working away?
How is working away?
How
is working away?
Yes, good. Better than your mastery of the English language, apparently. No, I'm not going to go down that pathway. People attack me for that all the time. Yeah, it's not too bad, but yeah, I think it's. We were lucky last time. We were able to knock out the episode, I guess, in a way that fit with our schedule. But yeah, unfortunately this time I am back in the forgeworld of Mudgee, as it's properly pronounced.
Can confirm. So, now, as a lot of the listeners may not know, we do our episodes effectively in a single sitting. And that can sometimes be in 90 minutes, 2 hours, 4 hours. In the case of some of our episodes, we have literally gone through the night and gone to bed with the sun rising. But given the fact that Nathan is in sort of like a, quote unquote dangerous working situation, we are not going to be able to do a massive episode this time. We had originally planned to do our next gang episode, but given the sort of, tendency that the
internet connection.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was trying to word it up, but basically his internet connection is crap, and it could probably drop out at any time. So we're going to try not to, drag everything on too long. So we are going to do possibly maybe our second last Hive Life episode, going on with some of the other hives mentioned, some of the sort of resource material. Naturally, we might be convinced to give a gang idea or two, but we're not really going to go into a lot of the sort of opening stuff you guys expect from us each episode. So, unfortunately, that means we can't do the Spamiel corrections, which...
Convenient for you.
Is very convenient for me, because we actually only have corrections for me this time. So, audience, do your best. Find something that the Manvant has said incorrectly so I can finally rub it in his stupid, squirrely face.
Right. Okay, rather aggressive.
Yeah. But our next episode will be a gang episode, probably.
Look, I want to say it is. I think we, you and I both want to actually do another gang episode, don't you?
Yeah.
So
it's especially the gang episode we were going to do next. I'm really looking forward to it. So, yeah, I think it'll probably be a gang episode.
It's not Vansar, by the way. Just to alleviate everybody's tension there.
I don't think we're ever going to do the Vansar episode. I've resigned myself to that fact.
My plan is to do it on April 1st, 2025.
Oh, I'd get so many angry emails because we'd stop halfway and it'd just be another Abhuman episode.
Yeah.
The long-awaited cat girl episode.
Yes.
But, so, if you do still enjoy the show and you are interested in supporting the podcast, please shoot over to patreon.com/the Underhive Lorekeepers podcast. Now, we are obviously 100% funded by the goodwill of our audience, though either way, we do this for the love of Necromunda. Each month, we do have a Patreon exclusive episode, as well as competitions, polls on episodes, and other bonus content. If you are looking for another way to support us, get onto our social media, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. A like and subscribe helps us grow and get our particular brand of Necromunda lore out into the world. All of our links will be in the show notes, and please don't forget to give us a 5-star review on your preferred podcast platform. And just quickly, our Patreon audience is currently taking part in a poll to decide what gang Nathan is going to be taking to Arcramunda.
Yep.
If you're not on our Patreon, you haven't heard that episode, please do join. It is fun because Nathan starts to bully me about doing dumb things with our money, and so I decide that the audience is going to make him spend money on a gang because I'm a bad person.
Yes, yes, you are. Yeah, I'm quite kept up to date with the poll results at the moment, but
it's not looking good for you, buddy.
Yeah, great. I have only one caveat that I am asking everybody on our Patreon, and it's please, for the love of all things sacred, do not vote for squats. Do not vote for anything shorter than 4 foot. It will break me because I do not want to paint or play them. I will because I'm dedicated to this show, but I don't want to, which is the defining factor for me.
I really hope it goes that way. Like, I don't, but at the same time, I really do.
Thanks, buddy. Yep, that's the unity we have at Underhive Lorekeepers. It's I want to see you succeed, but I also want to see you struggle as you succeed
and suffer.
Yes, of course, suffer. What an idiot for leaving that out.
Well, so Nath, we have a couple of hives listed down here. Why don't you pick one of them and go for it?
I reckon we'll start off with the Acropolis hive, actually.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's a cool hive. It's got a lot of history behind it. I think that's where democracy was first created, and that's where
I was waiting for it.
There's some famous members from there. There's like Plato and
the well-known Orlok gang leader.
Yep. Yes, yeah. I think Leonidas, one of the most amazing warriors, a Goliath warrior.
He was that Goliath gang, the forge boss who held his forge gates at was it Thermopylae? The Thermopylae forges. He held them with 300 unborn.
That's right.
Yeah, against the Ashwaste nomads.
Yes, it was. Yep. Look, I mean, we can retell these famous bits of history from the hive, but I'll go into the read and we'll take it from there. This is another old and ornate hive in the Palatine Cluster. It is located at a vital intersection of several great road tunnels and has always been a major centre of trade on Necromunda. The Acropolis hive is home territory for some of the most powerful merchant clans, whose widespread trading network extends across many of the hives of Necromunda. Desperate to share in this wealth, the Acropolis hive attracts a number of large and sprawling shanties which cluster around its base like a festering sore. The noble houses all have a presence in the Acropolis hive, but each is generally content to support the status quo. Nonetheless, House Delac, sometimes known as Delacroix, is known to ply a rich trade in information and intrigue there, profiting immensely from the merchants' numerous intersign wars. It's actually cool because it's like almost a hive of secrets a little bit, but everybody's dipping their fingers in the pie here. This is like the perfect place for an arbiter to set a campaign, because it sounds like you can do pretty much whatever you want in the Acropolis Hive, and you can find some tether or string to attach your narrative to.
Well, I find it weird that every noble house has a foothold there. Like, they're all pretty happy to go with the status quo, but it specifically states that, that they are all there. I think this, especially when you sort of couple this with the Delark doing their information sort of trading and that sort of thing there, I think this would be a great way to, and I'm automatically going into just campaigns and gangs here. I think this would be a great way to take the delegation of one of those noble houses, the Ko-Iron or whatever you want. I don't know why I've just got Ko-Iron on my head at the moment. But you could take them and you could build a campaign around, if you had enough players where each of you was effectively the proxy gang of that noble house, almost pushing to seize control of sections of Hive Acropolis, because your noble house, they're sort of leaning into wanting to do more within it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, totally get you. So they're going, okay, well, we want to increase our capacity for trade, or, we want to control the tunnelways that come through here. So we're going to try and, bring a lot more muscle and enforcement into this area under the banner of our noble house, and therefore we'd then be able to impart our presence and our power and begin to get a stranglehold away from the actual house control. So the gang house control, and you start the noble houses start to get that semblance of control. It's sort of like a microcosm of what I imagine Necromunda is in total, in, say, from the Palatine Cluster, where you would have all these houses fighting over vast amounts of territory and different ways to exude their power or their strength. And so by doing that, they go, well, we control the secrets, or we control the trade, or we control the manufacture, or we control the roadways and so forth, each attempting to garner that little bit of extra power and control for themselves. But Acropolis is a safe place to do it, because you're never going to dislodge the Imperial House from Acropolis. Where if you stuff around and do that in the Palatine Cluster, the Helmawrs, well, I guess now the Aranthians, but I'll just reference Helmawrs. The Helmawrs would come cracking down on a house that decides that they want to, exude a little bit more power or take up a little bit more control. You're constantly doing that with the shadow of the Imperial House over you. Whereas in a place like Acropolis, the noble houses can sort of run a little bit more loose, run a little bit more wild. I guess, look, the other thing about Acropolis is the fact that the food there is what draws a lot of people there. So there's a lot of rattlings and so forth. And that food, like, it's the midnight. I can see your face.
You just ruined it. I was going to build a whole joke around the fact that the nobles, because there's so many merchant classes here, it says they're so powerful, they're an Acropolis Hive, and I'm just like, I want to know what noble house is in bed with the merchant clan that controls the rat meat souvlaki trade.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
they hold the true power.
Honestly. And like, we're in Melbourne, and if people don't know that about Melbourne, I think we have the largest population of Greek people outside of Greece.
We do, yeah.
And because of that, everyone in Melbourne has consumed Greek food at some point. Like, it doesn't matter what part of the world my mates are from, every single person I know here is just like, you want to eat Greek food? Yes, I do. Because it's all delicious. But so I'm 100%, I'm convinced there's a bunch of like ratlings, all named either Nick or Stavros.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're all working
But
in...
they make it Necromundan, so it's Stephen. You know, it's like, it's just like, hey, Stavros. Oh no, call me Stephen. Stephen, it's very good, very
Stephen.
good.
Yeah. And this is my cousin Nick, and this is my son Stavros, and this is my brother Nick, and this is my cousin Stavros. And sorry, Stavros. We don't talk about Stavros. He plays Eldar.
Exactly.
I became Russian at the end there. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. You should have just taken your time.
I'm not a voice actor.
No, but I'm saying if you'd taken your time, you wouldn't have been Russian.
Oh, I could have taken my... Yeah, okay.
Yes. Gotcha. Anyway, go on.
We have diverged here.
Yeah, it's a shock horror.
Yes. Yeah. I reckon there probably is a lot of rattling cooks in Acropolis Hive. Yes, but back to a serious point.
Okay. But I will reiterate my serious point because I kind of derailed it. I do remember somebody saying to us a little while ago, saying, I love the derails, but guys, please, can you bring it back to what you were actually talking about? So I see Acropolis as a place where the noble houses can play out their machinations, can play out their...
Yes.
all the nonsense that they'd love to do in the Palatine cluster, but it's too risky and too dangerous. And this is where... I guess you would call them minor nobles of the noble house can go, and it's like almost a little playground for them. They can get in there, they can stuff around, and at the end of the day, the ramifications are sort of contained within Acropolis. You know?
The important ones are not in Acropolis. This is third cousins. This is, that bastard son of... old Uncle Stavros. He's over it. He's over, and I've got a new name, not just Timmy.
You've ruined all the Helmawrs for me, by the way. We were recording something the other week, and I was trying to remember a Helmawr, and for the life of me, all I could remember was Timmy Helmawr. Yep.
Which Timmy Helmawr? There's been a few.
That's the problem. They're all merged into one giant Timmy. Timmy Helmawr. Just like... Anyway, you're right. That's kind of what I'm implying, is that it's the second, third cousins, all that kind of nonsense. And it's almost like the Dalark would just allow them to play out these things because they would be able to delve further into what the noble houses are doing.
Yeah.
They make themselves vulnerable, in a way, the noble houses, in this environment.
But I think it's also quite dangerous letting them do what they do because, apart from the Ratmeets of Larky merchant guild, I'm assuming the other merchant guilds are all there, and these merchant clans that are headquartered in Acropolis Hive, like we've always said, the true power on Necromunda at the end of the day is always going to be money. It is it's the second bad guy of all 40k. It's production. It's capitalism. And
hold up. Who's the first bad guy?
The Tau.
Do you know what? I know you set that up for me to answer that question. That was not scripted, folks.
Yeah.
I was like, hang on. First bad guy. Don't you dare say the Imperium. But no, you are right. It is the Tau. Yep.
It is the Tau. Mate, I can play you like a fiddle. I can lure you in. But
I'm so happy I'm away.
Yeah. Scummers, he originally wanted to do a podcast on soccer, and I just started talking about Necromunda, and I've just kept it going. But yeah, no, and I think these nobles, where it gets dangerous is every now and then I would love to see one of them get it right and actually get something over one of these noble houses, and they actually they throw a spanner in the works. They really screw up the power dynamic of the Hive, and that's when the Dalark, who are working for the Helmawrs, who are actually working for the Dalark, sort of come in and they're just like, hey, old Stavros Helmawr has sort of caused a bit of mess. And they're like, okay, what do we do? So we could just kill him and, I don't know, blame it on the Orlocks. Like, do it. We can blame it on House Grime. I love it. Do it.
Yeah.
And so they do that. They kill that weird third cousin. It gets blamed on this weird, fourth cousin 11 times removed from House Grime, and everything sort of levels out again. But they're using Acropolis as literally just a way to generate money from trade. Like
yeah, definitely. Like as I said, it reflects Necromunda on a smaller scale, so it would still be able to generate the money that it would. But another thing that we haven't mentioned is, because there are so many that want to share in that wealth, and it says it in the first paragraph of that, there's sprawling shanties that cluster around. Like, these are all elements that can be tapped into to make money. You know what I mean? You could get small gangs being risen up, being, Patreoned by the noble houses, or a noble house going, let's create a small gang out of these shanty towns and have them run riot, and then we come in and kill them, and we look like the great ones, and then we begin to control this small little element because our house has come in and wiped out this criminal gang that was very easy to wipe out because we know everything about it. Yeah. So this is the one hive that we've read about where I see that the noble houses, the noble houses seem to be quite ambivalent about a lot of what goes on around Necromunda. It's more sort of like, we have our little plans and we're going to enact them, and if the gang houses get involved, whatever the case might be, we'll deal with it. Just don't piss off the Helmawrs, pretty much. But Acropolis seems like the place where they can go, if we were in total control of here, if we were the Imperial House, for use of a better name, in Acropolis, what would that look like? And then they can begin to play that out. Unfortunately, it's the poor souls of Acropolis who would suffer the most, because they become guinea pigs for the noble houses. And unfortunately, that's just probably the most Necromunda thing that could happen to them. They're just part of the giant mechanism. It's
never fun, really. So it's funny that you mentioned the shanties, because the shanties are actually mentioned sort of in the rulebook in regards to sort of what they are. And they're clustered at the outer edge of the shells of the spires. They're vast sprawls of ramshackle shanty towns. Now, this part's great because it really describes a lot of what we've been talking about, or you especially have been talking about there. They're inhabited by all kinds of scum, unsuited to life within the hives. The spires, at least, offer a limited protection against the poisonous rains and corrosive ash. The best shelter a shanty dweller can hope for is 1 or 2 layers of packing material or an abandoned vehicle. But, to make matters worse, much of the manufactory's toxic effluent pours directly down onto the shanties. So basically, they're living in, futuristic cyber favelas. Just less classy. Now, it basically goes through about 2 or 3 paragraphs of talking about just how horrible it is to live in these places. But
that's where you recruit from.
Yeah, exactly.
How desperate would those people be to get out of that area? And so you could get them to do almost anything you wanted. A noble comes down with this shiny-looking group of, bodyguard or enforcers with him, and just says, "We're recruiting. Can you fire a gun?" "I think I can." "Sure, come on board. We've got a special mission for you."
Listen to who you're recruiting. The sprawling settlements are a temporary home to vicious gangs of sump dwellers, scavvies, and the nomad bands that come to periodically to the shanties to trade. Sump dwellers, you can just imagine these, just horrible, scarred, leather-skinned, basically cannibal types, with bone-handled knives made out of, sharpened spider, sections of spider chitin, and just real horrible sort of basically the reavers from
Oh my god!
From Firefly.
You actually read my mind. That is trippy. That is. I was just about to say that. Like in your description, I'm just saying that's the Reavers from Firefly. If you haven't seen Firefly, folks, get out there, watch it. Brilliant movie.
And Serenity, amazing.
And watch Serenity, then watch Firefly, and then
No.
it.
I did that. I watched the movie before the series.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
It's Firefly, then Serenity.
Yeah. Watch the series Firefly, and then Serenity, and you do yourself a favor. You'll
it's amazing.
It's a great watch. But anyway, exactly
how
what I
I
was
picture
thinking.
these guys. Yeah, like just terrifying type. But plus, it also says like scabbies. We all know what a scabby is, and if you don't, we will eventually do an episode on them. Just horrible mutants. And then nomad bands. It doesn't say ash waste nomads, just nomads.
Just nomads. Just people living out in the boonies who are coming into trade. Yeah.
Just picture like carnival folk, but on Necromunda. Like they're setting up a carnival, like, throw 3 prop grenades at these 5 skulls. If you knock over all 6, you get a stuffed amble toy. Yeah. And it's just like, wait, what sort of skulls are they? They're rocks. Oh. this one Goliath just throws a rattling at them as like, give toy.
Yeah, it's like, absolutely, big fella. Have it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Don't call me big fella.
But, that's how I'm picturing these nomads, like, just travelling from settlement to settlement. Sort
just
of
a bunch
like...
of carnies.
Yeah, like, almost like dystopian travellers. You know what I mean? With in their caravans, with you just the guy sitting up the top with the long rifle, the wide brimmed hat, just like they've seen some stuff and they're traveling from place to place because that's what they've always done. But your average scummer isn't really going to see the difference between them and an ash waste nomad.
Yeah,
the population of the shanties or the outer hives and that, they're like, no, we know the difference because, look at the colours these travellers are wearing versus the colours the nomads wear. And,
or just the way they layer their clothing. The banner poles that they use. There's things like, they've all got skulls hanging off them, but the ash waste nomads, they have lots of human skulls. Whereas these guys have got beast skulls, and they've got but they've got 1 or 2 human skulls, but they don't really portray that as much. Yeah, that's cool. So Acropolis is really just a hive of like the nobles and the merchants using it as a major trade cluster, and then all the down and outs coming in to try and make their fame and fortune from it.
And 4,700 people named Heracles.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I think they had to ban that name at one stage. It's like, what would you like to register your baby as? Heracles.
Heracles Helmawr. Oh, God, not another one.
Not again. And then you've just got one guy who imagines himself as the ruler of the hive, but just like in one of the shanty towns, renames himself as Zeus. Parades around, like dresses up as an eagle and just flaps around and pretends like nobody knows it's him.
He just stands there on a mound of rubbish, throwing like rocks at people, going lightning bolt, lightning bolt.
Exactly.
Okay, so before we offend all of our Greek or Greek descended listeners, gang idea.
Okay,
you have one for Acropolis.
I just got one now. And it was when you mentioned the caravan.
Damn it!
It's either that or a Souvlaki stand. Right? A Souva stand.
Do your caravan.
So, instinctively, straight away, what I'm thinking is the caravan is tracked. Right? So, big hunking tracks on it. No actual animal leading it. It's all just like a driven motor. But they kind of have like a old school Western styled like homestead caravan type thing, and just trundling along on that. There would be a couple of them. They would be their vehicles, and you would have like a big major caravan, which would be what they would use as like the family caravan, That's where everybody gets together. That like there's even like a dining room inside of it and so forth. But they would all be like travelers who know a certain thing that they do. So you'd have a dice table and so forth for one of them, and he would have like dice hanging off him and maybe 2 pistols, a couple of cups and so forth. So he's the dice game guy. Then you would have the others who are the pickpockets, and they would be, tiny little pickpocket material on them, and almost like street urchin type of look to them. Then you would have, as you say, the others who would just like watch over the caravan. So the guards.
Sick.
And they would go hunt out around in the wastes, and they'd go to the massive scrap piles and so forth, and they would then come back and sell all of their wares. So the gang itself, oh mate, I would almost have to go like a Venator gang for this one rather than use a house gang, because I wouldn't want any sort of direct relation. I wouldn't want them having access to like standard weaponry in terms of their gang. But they would have this element of being quite ramshackle looking, but quite actually deadly in small pockets. So the guy who runs the card and dice game, he's probably not the most deadly, but his 2 bodyguards who protect him, they are pieces of work who you just would not mess with. Yeah, so that's my take on it. I'd actually want to hear your take on what you do for the caravan.
For the caravan, no, I love everything about it, except I picture the caravan. You ever see that movie Mortal Engines?
Oh,
with
yes.
Where the cities are basically those huge track things and the cities eat each other.
Yeah.
I think it was a box office flop, but I think as a movie it was fantastic.
Yeah, I actually really liked it. My wife and I actually watched it together, and we were like, how is this not that it's not successful, but it was just like really canned. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I think
it needed 2 movies, but anyway.
I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to judge how they advertised the movie. I think it was fantastic. Another movie I think that should have been a lot more popular than it was John Carter, where it's a dude from the Civil War era America winds up, on Mars. Hot damn, that movie, it was like Taylor Kitsch, it was just perfect in that role. Dominic West, oh man, I love that movie. Willem Dafoe as a crazy green alien. The best. Yeah. But this isn't movie chat. That's another podcast we're doing where we talk about sci-fi films and how we would have made them better. Basically, take any movie, replace every actor with Willem Dafoe or Jean-Claude Van Damme and cocaine. Now, back to the gang idea. Yeah. I picture the caravan like one of those cities from Mortal Engines where it's this huge travelling... I would have it almost segmented, like different trailers that attach on, so they can all separate if they need to, but it travels between these settlements, and that when they get to the shanties, they're there, and I can imagine them unloading scrap metal and supplies and that sort of stuff for the, let's be honest, the scum who live in the shanties to then build their houses and that from. But like on top of that, it's also they're hauling back ruined vehicles. They are, they're coming across, where a storm's blown up, and it's like, oh hey, we found part of a hive, so we've looted as much of that as we could. I would run that gang as Orlocks purely because I can think of nothing better than wreckers jumping from trailer to trailer.
Oh, that's cool.
But also, like, hey, this caravan would have these huge sort of like crow's nests where the wreckers would hang out sort of watching, and then all of a sudden one of them would spot something, and 3 or 4 of them would rush out to try and be the first one there, because if you're the first one there, you get to claim, whoever spotted it gets to claim the first thing, then you get to claim the second thing. And obviously, the caravan gets the rest. But that's how I see it. Oh, it's basically your combat engineers with your Baneblade rescue vehicle.
Yeah, except they're claiming everything. They're not just going for vehicles and so forth.
They're claiming everything.
And when I say everything, I see these caravans as slavers as well. So
100%, because if you can't outrun, and I use this name. I was going to say John Ormagantuan. I'm like, no, that's my Slaneshi Ratling. But if you can't, I'm going to call it like the Behemoth. No, that's his name's vehicle?
Gorshiv? Is that Gorshiv?
Hammerfist, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can't outrun this name TBD. But then basically you aren't strong enough to survive, so we're going to capture you, we're going to take you to Acropolis, and there's going to be a guilder there who'll buy you, or if Acropolis don't want you, we'll eventually come to a settlement that'll want you for some reason.
Well, see, that would be the thing as well. They could sell anything in Acropolis because all the merchant guilds are there. You know, there isn't one iota of trade that's not happening in Acropolis, so everything would be up for grabs. So, wow.
Everything legal and illegal.
Yeah. They would almost have like menageries of like cages of animals and so forth. Where like, we found this. Somebody want to buy this? Yeah.
These travellers would have their own beastmasters who are skilled or knowledgeable in the ways of capturing these animals. I'm genuinely picturing them almost like a travelling carnival / tow truck / like / travelling society.
I was about to say that they're more than a gang. You know,
this is a people.
Yeah.
This is, it's the difference of like the your average sort of like carnival worker and genuine like travellers and like the Romani we have through Europe and that sort of thing there, where there are strict lines of difference between the definition. I see the people we're talking about now as a separate society of nomads who operate both within and without imperial law.
Yeah, exactly. So they come to a hive city and they go, well, we'll play your game, but you, as soon as we wander out, don't come at us with your enforcers. Don't come at us with your Arbites, because we will hit back, and we have 100 people in our small little community.
Yeah. Okay. Who do you see lead? I don't want to keep you up too long, but who do you see leading this society? Because in my mind, you're going to have effectively, like a chieftain or a hetman or sort of like a tribal leader. But
I see it as a council.
I then see that person being the head of a council of each of these different families. Each trailer would have their representative. Yeah, cool. Okay.
Yes, yeah. So you would have the slaver and the beastmaster, and they might work together, and they go like, well, we keep cages and we keep things in the cages. We on the council, we're represented by a single individual. Do you know what I mean? And then we have our actual trader. The actual trader there's the one who goes and negotiates the deals with the merchant guilds, with the noble houses and so forth. They're the person.
Yes.
And they're the voice of the caravan. So they're only given their strength and power and credence via the council. So you're allowed to talk about this. You're not allowed to talk about this. And I could see that the council would be very cutthroat as well. Not in that there would be backstabbing. Absolutely. But if you don't do what's right by the caravan, you're gone quicker than your head can turn.
Your trailer is just disconnected, and your trailer would be self-propelled. Like, it is still a vehicle, but if it's just your family left on there might only be 10 or 15 of you or whatever, but your 10 or 15 is a lot easier to get wiped out than the 3 or 4 or 500 on this vehicle.
Exactly.
This land train, this genuine caravan of vehicles, and I sort of don't want to get us bogged down into this, but this is something I really want to, I would really love for us to touch back onto at some point, because I think this is a concept. It's really, Okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Land trains. But yes,
also,
Acropolis Hive, sorry.
so my gang idea is basically a Greek restaurant run entirely by ratlings. Each of them just in like chef's pants and like a white singlet, and just
Yeah.
all of them just yelling at each other. And I've got enough Greek mates where they're just like, yep, I know that exact restaurant. Why? Because I've been to that restaurant 46 times, and I'm convinced there were ratlings back there. But the food was so damn good.
Exactly. And you're just like, yeah, I deal with it. And there's a trio of them that call themselves Sushi Mango. Yeah.
Sushi Mango.
That's a little shout out
Literally,
to Sushi Mango.
Only the Australians are going to understand this. Everyone else
No,
is just...
Sushi
Are they
Mango's
picking on Greece now? Are they really?
They're worldwide, yeah. They had
That's
one of
the
the
best.
the largest, like, I don't know, liked or something videos last year or something. So, but yeah,
They deserve it. They're hilarious.
that though, like, if anybody who wants to understand the culture, go watch their videos and then apply that to Necromunda. Boom.
Yeah.
Done. That will make you understand. But yeah, look, I mean, the chef idea is quite easily
We've
something.
done it.
We've done it. We've done it. But I mean, if you wanted to go for a real gang within the hive, I think it would have to be something with it that had some connection with the noble houses or with a merchant clan. So this hive would be perfect if you want to go, I really want to connect to a merchant clan. Go to Acropolis. Set your gang there. That's where they originate from. That's where they cut their teeth. And then you can just... It's sort of like you've got a blank canvas with Acropolis, I think.
Yeah, but it's just the perfect way for a campaign to basically say everyone is going to be connected to a noble house or a merchant immediately, and that's your alliance through the entire campaign. And if you do it right, they look after you. If you screw up, you're in trouble because that's the only aid you're getting in this campaign.
Yeah, right. Yep. Yeah, that's cool. That's sick. Anyway, moving on from nomadic... Oh, no, wait, not nomadic land trains, from Acropolis Hive. Moving on from Acropolis Hive, what's the next hive?
Well, usually at this point we talk about some of the notable gangs from that hive. But Acropolis doesn't really have anything in any of the books that I could find giving them any notable hives. But a hive that does is the Quinspirus Cluster. Now,
Yeah, right.
the Quinspirus Cluster is situated on the edge of a virtually solidified sludge sea called the Worldsump Ocean. At one time, when the sea was still navigable? When the sea could still be navigated, the area included vast dockyards. These now remain buried deep within the undercity of the centrally located Quinspirus Hive. This hive has 5 great spires, hence the moniker, which means 5 towers in the local dialect, and gives its name to the whole cluster. The cavernous warehouses of the ancient waterfronts have been the scene of many savage gang wars, in particular between gangs subservient to houses Orlok and Dalark. So, I'm calling it now pirates.
Oh, yeah, but like land-based pirates now.
Yes.
Yeah. So they've had to... Their tradition's still steeped in their pirate ways or their nautical ways, but it's all kind of got like a land orientation to it now. So, they might still have a vehicle and they call it port and starboard and so forth, but it's just a truck. But they still have to do that, or, they use some sort of navigation device. And you have to prove that you know how to use this navigation device to even be accepted within the gang. So even though they will never use it.
It's a virtually solidified sludge sea, so it is still technically liquid, but it's gonna be thick like pancake mix, or
yeah, okay,
like a custard almost. And so, like, 100%, like, I think you'd be doing that on the outskirts, because as it gets more and more solidified, I think the sludge would only really be liquidy, and sort of like, you could use a boat the closer towards the center. But can you imagine, you're going on the outskirts of this, and all of a sudden some of that just gives way underneath you, and you drop into that thick, gooey, like, disgusting water that it's almost like a dough where it's pulling you down.
You'd
like
be dead.
Oh yeah, no, you are not having a good day.
But the fact that the dockyards are buried means that the connection with that sea or that ocean is not what it used to be. Do you know what I mean?
God, no.
So, yeah, you can definitely... Do you know what you want to use as hovercrafts? So, something that just skirts the surface rather than relies on any sort of buoyancy or breaks the tension surface of the water. But, yeah, and that's why I envisage them as a group that is sort of a bit lost in that it's going, no, we're still a navy, but the reality is they're regular gangs that are just trying to, I don't know, relive old histories.
Yeah. But I think it's crazy because the Worldsump Ocean is obviously sort of the big pool of everything that just sort of falls in.
Yeah.
Like, once you hit the Worldsump, it's basically that's, I'm not going to say that's your water supply, but that's as close as a lot of people are going to get.
Yeah, right.
Like, it's... I can imagine how ridiculous it would be to some of them where you describe what an ocean actually is. It's like, oh, you mean the Worldsump? Yeah, like, you sort of... You want to stay away from there. You have those the fan boats and that sort of thing. You got... Because you got to think... Necromunda's that weird place where everything somehow seems to exist in every facet. Like, imagine Corpse Grinder Cult, like pirates, where they're attacking your vessel and they jump on and they just kill everyone to eat them, and then they just leave your boat, like, and then some Cawdor band come across it a week later and everything's still on there. There's still weapons, there's still ammunition, there's still food and that. And those religious nutters are like, well, that's it. That was destined for us. We are happy. It's like, no. Someone really did something bad to these people. It'd be like, and the Emperor made sure we got it. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. That's a Cawdor pirates, though. They would be cool.
Cawdor pirates would be amazing.
See, this is where we venture down a different pathway as well, because I start to think of, like, you'd see the Delark as sort of like a, I don't know, they wouldn't necessarily be more pirate-like, but more almost like a navy-like. Very, very clean lines, very sharp, following orders, all that kind of gear. And then you would have something like the Cawdor where it's just like, doesn't matter. If it floats, we use it, sort of thing.
Cawdor pirate boats are propelled by, picture giant hamster wheels. And then it's like, in like sort of old movies about the American South, they have those paddle steamers.
Yeah.
And there's one of those on either side. It's basically a Skaven vessel, but with, like, the rats are less clean.
Yeah, and I can see the wheel being actually, like, manned by Cawdor who are trying to repent or something along those lines.
Oh my god, repenting Cawdor, yes.
Yeah, and so they're just left in there, and the water pools up to halfway up to their shin, almost to their knees, sort of thing. So their feet become, almost infected with trench rot, but they're like, this is what the Emperor demands of me for my inability to make the gang leader a half decent, coffee or I deserve this. He said I deserve this. I deserve this. So, yeah, I just again, we're sort of distracting a little bit from the Quinspirus, but yeah, the idea that you can get Cawdor pirates and a Dalak navy, and maybe a House Goliath, like ironclad ships and so forth. It's cool. It's very cool. I think it's impractical, but it's very cool.
Well, speaking of impractical but cool, we have 2 named gangs from the Quinspirus. As the little read there said, one of them is Orlok, and one of them, that says one of the main gangs in the Quinspirus is the Dalak. But we know the Dalak have no real named gangs per se, because, they don't like doing it. So we have an Orlok and a Goliath gang to read here. So, I'll tell you what. Do you want to read the Orlok or the Goliath?
Goliath.
Well, I'm going to read the Goliath then. Perched on the edge of the Worldsump, the Quinspirus Cluster was once a great Necromundan seaport. Despite the millennia of pollution that turned the planet's oceans to sludge, some skiffs still embark from the sunken docks to seek out the riches of the Worldsump Ocean. The iron-bones Goliaths ply these toxic waters, gathering up sunken treasures and pillaging the free sump settlements. Their skin bleached white by the poisonous fog that hangs perpetually over the Worldsump, the Ironbones look nothing less than giant revenants come to claim the living. To play up this terrifying image, the Ironbones paint skull features over their faces in soot, or press bloody handprints upon their chests. When it has filled its hold with plunder, an Ironbones warskiff returns to the hanging forges of the Quinspirus Cluster. Suspended beneath the ancient dockworks, these gantry factories glimmer in the toxic fog, their forges acting as makeshift lighthouses for the Ironbones vessels. Periodically, the other clans and their gangs will launch assaults against the Ironbones hanging forges, fighters rappelling down from the abandoned shipyards above. To date, though, the savage Goliaths of Quinspirus have always seen them off, the bodies of their enemies doomed to sway in the poisonous winds beneath the docks as a warning to others. That is freaking sick!
That's cool. The pale-skinned Goliath, though.
Have you ever seen the series Black Sails? It's about the end of the golden age of piracy.
Have I ever seen the series Black Sails? Of course, I've seen this.
Okay.
I've seen it twice.
Do you remember when Charles Vane goes to the island of the
Yep.
lumberjacks and hires those pirates? That if anyone hasn't seen Black Sails, stop the podcast, go watch it right now, then come back to this episode. It's amazing. It's about pirates. It's so good.
It's beautifully done series.
Yeah.
But yes, exactly that. Like,
that's how I picture these guys. Yeah.
This is doing that little part of that read. Like I'm not I don't have a big knowledge about Quinspirus, but talking about that gang means that there's more going on in terms of actually like combat on the water there. You know?
We were both basically saying it would be negligible how much there was. That tells us otherwise.
Yeah,
that immediately tells us otherwise.
Yeah, righto. So even though the warehouses and so forth are deep within the undercities and the underhive of the Quinspirus, it's still very functional. So it is, oh wow. So there's almost like the chance to do like a fishing adventure show on this at Quinspirus.
Stop it.
Do you know, for our Australian listeners from...
You're about to say Rex Hunt's Fishing Adventures.
I'm about to say Rex Hunt's Fishing Adventures. And Rex fits in perfectly in, high Gothic. So
Yep.
Yeah, Rex.
You can just imagine him. He's just pulled up this 3-headed like eel with legs, and he's look at that yibbida yibbida.
Yeah, yabba dabba doo. That was his famous line, guys. Yabba dabba doo.
You just grab your combat knife, cut it once up the guts, rip it out, save that for a stew later on, throw them straight onto an open grill. Yibbida yibbida. That's a meal and a half. Give me 1 second, boys. Just gotta go shoot that corridor in the face. Oh, yeah.
So, for a more
I
global...
apologise to all of our Queensland listeners for thinking that your cousin was online just then.
It's just like, am I on a phone call or am I listening to a podcast? What's going on? This is messed up. Anyway, for our more global audience, who's the one he did the Monster Hunter? It's a genuine fishing show, and he would go around the world hunting monster fish. That was his shtick, and he was amazing at it.
David Schwimmer.
No. Yeah, what was the name of the show? It was River Monsters with this guy called Jeremy Wade, and he would go out into the Amazon and find it. And so I could see that happening in, Quinspirus, but also down in the Sump Sea. So just finding all these locations around Necromunda to go high, like try and catch actual monsters. But then, has to give up sometimes because it's like, well, that's a giant swimming spider with snakes for legs. That's an actual monster. I can't capture that, and it's now marked me for life and is going to hunt me forever. So I'm out. I'm done. But
I was told quite specifically we were hunting a giant sump croc, not snake leg spider face.
Yeah, exactly. But it's interesting to see that this is, I guess a lot of the times we think that the Sump Sea is the main sort of area where all nautical things are happening. But Quinspirus has its own little water-based adventures as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's cool. That sort of changes my perspective on how the hive would function. It's not necessarily a trading port, I would say, because it's a, you don't need that. Everything's done through space travel and so forth. So what are they drawing out of that world ocean?
Well, I reckon you'd have things like they got that crazy sci-fi technology. I'm imagining sonar that finds sunken vessels, and you'd have huge claw machines that reach down and grab onto the wreck, and you're pulling that up. I'm also now picturing Goliaths in old-timey diving suits with the big helms.
Yeah,
the huge fishbowl helmets, and they're strapping these things on, sticking the tube into the back of the neck or into the harness point on their back, and they're just jumping into the water. And I hear on the last skiff that came out, they literally only 5 out of the 7 that jumped in didn't come back. So man, that was a really good result.
Yeah.
And they're just yeah, it's pretty good. How long were we out there? 4 days. We filled the whole skiff. That's the best.
Yeah.
But I'm picturing old timey diving gear and claw machines and basically just trawling. So they've got these huge, just massive steel rope nets that they're dragging along the bottom of the ocean and then just pulling up anything they grab.
Right,
but it also said they're attacking these free sump settlements.
Yeah, they are. So there's sump settlements. So things that are we talking Waterworld? Are we talking?
I'm thinking Waterworld. Those little atolls that they had, these little floating. Because we know there's a floating hive. We've already talked about that. But
yeah,
I'm picturing these little floating settlements, or fishing caravans, fishing fleets from these other settlements, and that they just come along and be like, "What have you caught?" Yep, 80% goes to us. You know that.
See, this triggers me again because I'm just so what are we eating on Necromunda? What exactly are you fishing out of there that you're
Clams.
able to turn into food?
Clams.
Clams, just the clams. It's got to be more than clams. There's got to be some other tasty things you're pulling out.
Lobsters the size of a Buick.
But that's the thing as well. It's like, it's Necromunda, so everything out of that waterway is going to be dangerous. Also,
Not to a Goliath.
Also, speaking of your Goliaths and their old-timey diving suit type setup, I think of the Delark in this scenario as looking a bit like Abe Sapien from Hellboy. Do you know who I'm talking about there?
Yes.
Yeah, so not necessarily when Abe's like just going around normally, but like when he's got the full goggles and all that put on.
Yes.
Yes. That's why I see this, the Delark just setting themselves up with these goggles and these sort of like breathers that they use and so forth. They would look very cool like that.
Terrain idea. It's a Delark in a, like with a breathing apparatus on in just a huge like Bacta tank from Star Wars, where he's completely conscious, but they've just got him trapped in it, and the only thing they feed him is rotten eggs and make him read Encyclopedia Britannica. It's like someone's captured this poor bastard after a battle, and he's just like, I'm actually weirdly cool with this whole situation. And he's just reading. They feed him rotten eggs, and they're like, this is kind of weird, but he seems into it.
Yeah, this appeals to my Piscean heritage. I like this. But yeah, no, it's very interesting that we're going down this pathway with like exploring the sea, because unfortunately we don't have a great deal of information about Quinspirus. The most important information we seem to get is that it has 5 towers. Cool. Yep. Those 5 towers, there's not even... Yeah, it's got an ocean. So there's not even any exploration. Oh my God, I'm an idiot.
What?
I've worked it out. 5 towers and an ocean. It's a trident above the ocean. No, not a trident.
A trident would be
3. No, there is a thing that has 5. I'm picturing it now.
A quident?
A quident, yes. It's an acquired taste.
You're hurting the podcast.
No, but it's like a non-trident trident above the ocean. That's what it is. That's what Quinspirus is.
Okay.
Yes, I've worked it out. It's very clever. But anyway, yeah. So I guess the exciting part about Quinspirus is the actual ocean it exists on, and how the gangs would interact on that. Well, like what that would mean, what rare and limited resources it could bring to Necromunda, because we're also not picking up on the key things going on in Quinspirus, that the key things that are needed for Necromunda, which is, the tithe, the production, the gang war overproduction. All of those things seem to be happening, but not in the way that they would in another hive. So Quinspirus is it's not got a pass, but it's kind of got like that's okay. You've got a big ocean you've got to deal with. So we don't necessarily need to push your tithe or your production that hard, because it's harder for you guys to do.
I'm just having a look here. So apparently a 5-pronged trident is a pentadent.
That's what tip of my tongue that was. I was just about to say that. A pentadent.
Yeah. And, yeah. That's as much information as I have about that one there. But, no, I like it. I don't know where you're going with this whole, it's a pentadent above the ocean. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't know.
No, but it's like, that's what you use to spear your fishies.
Okay. Well, why don't you read the entry about the Orlok gang from the Quinspirus Cluster there?
Located on the shores of the Worldsump Ocean, the hives of Quinspirus Cluster are a trade nexus for the eastern hemisphere of Necromunda. Goods from countless smaller hives are ferried across the toxic ocean to the cluster, where they are then loaded onto trains and cargo haulers to cross the Great Ash Road to Hive Primus. It makes sense, then, that House Orlok has a stake here. At the behest of the Mercator Gelt, House Orlok runs the Quinspirus shipping fleets and keeps the tollway to the Great Ash Road open. While it is a lucrative operation, it is also a heavily contested one. Some sea pirates are a constant threat to the slud barges, and that must across the Worldsump, while the tollway runs right through the ancestral lands of the Soshia Ash Waste nomad tribe. The clan is forced to spend much of its profits on heavy weapons, armoured rigs, and cloud runners to keep the locals in check. However, many Orlok gangers savour working the Quinspirus Cluster, as there are few things as satisfying as crushing an ash waste dune stalker under the wheels of your dune crawler. Wow. Very intense, lads. Very intense. See,
So, Quinspirus is all the way over in the Eastern Hemisphere.
yes, this is well-known information, yes.
Yeah, but I don't know why. I'd convinced myself in my brain that it was down to the southwest. Yeah, no, they're travelling literally like halfway across the world between Quinspirus and Palatine.
Yeah, so it makes sense as I say that the Orloks run that.
Yeah.
That's their game. That's their ticket. But they surely must be running ships as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because it says it runs the shipping fleets.
Yeah, they're running the
Yeah.
shipping fleet. So the shipping fleet would belong to the Makeda Gelt, but the
Yeah.
Orloks would be crewing them. Like they'd be the Marines basically. They would be organising for escort vehicles. I can imagine them in like fast attack boats, like almost like Coast Guard interceptors and that sort of thing around
That's
these
cool.
huge shipping vessels. And that would be sick.
That would be bonkers, actually. It's crazy to think how far away it is, the Quinspirus Spire. You know, like, it's just bonkers, like, how far they have to travel, and it shows the power of House Orlok within that region, you know. So, as much as we're talking about the shipping stuff, it reverts back to the basic elements of Necromunda in that we need to have road trains, we need to have
Yes.
crews supplying. But again, I was talking about it earlier. What are the vital elements of trade that are coming through Quinspirus? What are the things that are so important that they're risking all to get them to Primus? What are the particular bits of material?
It says like everything, like they need to keep the shipping fleets are going. They need to keep the Great Ash Road open, and so everything can make its way back to Hive Primus, because from Hive Primus it can go to everywhere else it needs to go within that cluster to inevitably get taken off world up through the Eye of Selene and to go there. The reason I think it's all going there to then go to Primus is because everything from the Eastern Hemisphere that goes back towards that tithe, that goes back towards being sold off planet in the East, it goes to the Quinspirus. In the West, it goes to Primus. But the East will always come to Primus at the end of the day anyway, which is why the Orloks were so powerful when it comes to their convoys and their protection racket up and down the highways of Hive Primus, which is why it is so important for them controlling the Great Ash Road, controlling the Necromunda and Underway, like getting that going.
Maybe what it is that that's the tithe for Quinspirus.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
yes.
That is their tithe. You don't have to manufacture as much as everybody else because it's harder to get your stuff off planet. It's harder to actually get, you know, say if you produce 50,000 las guns or whatever the case might be, by the time they get to High Primus, there might only be a quarter of that number left from the amount of raiding that's happened by, you know, the loss
The raiding,
of equipment.
the trading, yeah.
Yeah, the whole lot. So you bring resources here. Now, if we lose a few resources, maybe the resources are easier to protect. maybe they're easier to transport, whatever the case might be. You bring resources to us, and that will be your tithe. You know, yes, you still need to produce a few las guns and auto guns and all the rest of it, but the obligation would not be as much as, you know, something closer to High Primus.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That makes sense to me.
On,
that makes a lot more sense to me.
Sort of outside of that, I think because Quinspirus would most likely be the sort of the fiscal hub of the Eastern Hemisphere, they can put their thumb down on those other smaller hives and be like, hey, produce a little bit more because we want to have a day off, you know what I mean?
Yeah, true. They just go, look, we're quite busy at the moment. There's a little bit of sump nonsense going on in the Worldsump Sea, so get busy with it. I wonder if the moon affects the tides of the Worldsump Sea as well.
We've definitely had this conversation during the Delark episode.
We have.
And the answer is definitely
we did
yes.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, I do remember that. Wow. That's many hours of talking ago. Yes, many hours of talking ago.
But, yeah, Quinspirus has very quickly become very, very cool to me. Because it really is all forms of trade out of the east are coming back in through Quinspirus and through the docks there. Because, like you said, the orcs, the Orlocks get them onto trains. They get them on and off boats. They get them on and off dune crawlers and caravans and war rigs and all this sort of stuff. They're getting all of this done. And, like, let's be honest, there are so many ideas coming from just, like, the Goliath stuff was cool, but that Orlock raid has given me more ideas than the Goliath one did.
Yeah, like, I see, like, this is the Orlock in their element. Do you know what I mean? It's not, like, a lot of the times it's about competing gangs and who we're shooting up and so forth, and we know that they compete with the Delacroix on this area, in this hive, and obviously the Goliath there, but they're in like full flight logistical quartermastery, whatever you want to call it. They are. This is them at their logistical best to get everything moving. You know, the combat and the crushing and the killing and all that is just part of their logistics gargantuan that they have to deal with. So that's just part of the territory for it. But at the end of the day, if they didn't have to kill a single thing and still get everything moving, they'd probably still just enjoy it just the same.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, that's cool. I'm right. I'm on board with you in saying that I'm probably more inclined to do something around the Orlock. But it does beg the question though about what exactly are the Delacroix doing in there? Like, why is it so important to them?
Just quickly. So we already said like the Goliath have their what do they call them? Their war skiffs. The Orlock are working on these. Where did it say that before? The sump barges. Yeah. And we already said the Cawdor have their weird
paddle boats,
water wheel paddle boat things. Yeah. I pictured the Delark on. Have you ever seen the pictures of like the 1-man or 2-man mini subs where the scuba dives will hold on to it and they're underwater and they're sort of like zipping through? Yeah. Or that's what I pictured the Delark doing. They're doing some real sneaky beakies underneath the water. Right. Shape charges on the hulls of boats and blowing, sinking them, and they're blaming other gangs and that sort of thing. Or I picture them in like jet boats painted almost like sharks.
Yeah, okay.
Like real sleek black, silver, blues.
And like 1980s cocaine runners boat sort of thing.
Yeah. yes. Like the cigarette boats that they used to use back in Florida in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's how I picture them,
Okay, but that's all the combat side of them. But what are they doing out there? For me, it's from a lore point of view. I see them as being, it's almost a haven for them. they're far enough away from the Palatine cluster that they can really mess around. They can just do nonsense type things out there.
But not even that. Like, I think this is where a lot of them would cut their teeth to hone their skill, to sort of,
Yeah.
you know, you're getting in, or they've got a new weapons platform they need to test, or they're like, hey, we've got a new type of explosive we're going to be using. Sink some boats. Go. Like,
okay. Yeah.
Stuff like that, I really see them doing that sort of stuff there.
Okay. All right. I'm with you. I'm down for that. Well, I guess we've explored this hive from our ignorant point of view about not understanding that the water wasn't just soup.
Soup. Shout out to all my soup.
Soup. What would your gang be for this area then, or this hive?
Honestly, the corridor paddle boat was basically going to be the only idea I had from this. I wanted to build a big corridor paddle boat with just this ramshackle, almost like prayer. What's it called? Like a shrine. This floating shrine with just these hanging nets and that sort of thing. And then you read about Sump Sea pirates.
Yeah.
And then we started talking about like just the Orlocks and that sort of thing. And I have in my mind this group of Orlocks, and they are going to be it's basically Pirates of the Caribbean. Picture Nurgle Orlocks on this rusting sort of like almost like a ghost ship. Picture like a cruise ship where it's just being battered and it's got holes in the hull, and there's weird like fleshy growths, almost like what do you scrape off the bottom? Barnacles, like these huge barnacles that have grown over the holes, and these Orlocks who maybe they've gotten sick, maybe they ran out of fuel and were just floating in the middle of this Worldsump Ocean. And they were praying for a way to save them, and this being crawled its way out of the ocean, and so it basically granted them this eternal life. And so they ply their trade across the Worldsump Ocean of just reaving, and they capture all this equipment, they take it back to this small settlement it's just Pimple in the middle of the Worldsump, and from there different cults and different cult aligned groups will come in trading for the goods, taking it out, bringing in recruits, bringing in weapons, taking out the slaves, taking out the materials. But these Orlocks, who were former operators of this, they know the way House Orlock works. They know the way these ships are scheduled. They know the way they're equipped. They know how they fight, and they use that bit by bit. They're trying to claim, parts of the Quinspirus by pulling together these little islands and that. And their ship wouldn't actually be operating under its own power. I'm genuinely picturing these huge rusted chains going into the Worldsump Ocean, and it's being dragged by like this. I'm picturing like a blue whale with just these hooks pushed into it.
Yeah,
and this whale is basically pulling the vessel along, or like or it's a hermit crab living inside the vessel.
That idea.
Hermit crab.
Yeah, hermit crab.
Yeah.
And it's it doesn't crawl across the bottom. It's got some way of like keeping up sort of movement through the water,
Yeah, it's
maybe instead of claws.
Like...
No, but maybe instead of its claws, it's got like giant sort of like chitin type flippers, and it just pushes.
No, but it's... I'm picturing it's full of this bloated corpse gas, so it floats, and its claws allow it to sort of like doggy paddle.
Yeah.
But because of its sheer size, its doggy paddle is actually quite fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm now picturing... Yeah, I'm picturing that. Oh, damn it. I would build that on the back of an Arachnarok spider. Like, put the Arachnarok spider in there. You'd need some big claws.
Oh, I think they'd have to be custom-made things. I like that. That's very cool. Very, very cool. I love the pimple. For some reason, the pimple, it's like the chaotic hub in the middle of the Sump Sea. Yeah, you know, not the Sump Sea, the Worldsump Sea, the Worldsump Ocean. Yeah,
but there'd be all these different. Basically, it's what was the pirate haven called?
Tortuga.
Tortuga.
Yes,
it's basically Tortuga, but this horrifically chaos, like it's basically like a hive city for chaos.
Yeah, right.
It's these different bands of pirates and that come out of it. And some of them aren't necessarily chaotic, but they are still criminals. But
and that's their haven now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I love the pimple. Like, the gang's awesome, but the pimple's fucking sick. Yeah.
The gang would be called... I heard that. The gang would be called something like The Last Breath. You know, so when The Last Breath sort of come in, everyone, these different captains and that know that you just, no, don't go near them. Just stay away from them.
Yeah.
Because they may not be rotting, but they're definitely afflicted.
Yeah. They will mess you up, and you might have one tiny engagement with them. You might kill a couple of them, or you think you've killed a couple, but something will fall onto your deck, or something will splash across to you, and in a week's time or a couple of days' time, you're going to feel it, and you're probably going to lose most of your crew.
No, they'd be called the Drowned Men.
That sounds familiar.
Does it?
Yes, the Drowned Men. I feel like you've nabbed that from somewhere.
The Drowned Men. Damn it! It's from Game of Thrones.
That's where
they were the priests of the Iron Islands.
Yeah. That's. I was going to say Game of Thrones. It was sort of like teetering on my brain, but it doesn't matter.
Okay, he can come at me. He can come at me when he finishes his book series.
Good lord.
So I'm
calling out Mr. Martin.
I'm fine for 100 years or so. Yeah, no, they'd be the Drowned Men, because they'd have that pallid, bloated look of drowned corpses. Yeah, that's cool. That's my gang idea.
That's awesome. I like that one quite a fair bit.
Yeah. What's yours?
What's mine?
Combat engineers.
Yeah, combat engineers on boats, building boats, taking down boats. Combat engineers.
It's a gang of beastmen, fishermen.
Yeah.
Who only hunt with pentadents.
Yes, exactly, and they do that as homage to the hive, because they understand that the pentadent is the prime fishing weapon. Yes, tool. Sorry, not weapon. The fish is not the enemy. The fish is simply the produce. Anyway, my gang idea is to have somebody different on the water. And do you remember the show from Australia from the 90s? And if anybody wants to look it up, it's called Water Rats. Do you remember?
Yes, I do, sir.
Enforcers on boats, taking down the naughty no-goods.
I totally forgot the enforcers were a thing. Yes. Yeah. Keep it coming.
So they've got like a preference for harpoon type weaponry and big lasers and like multi-lasers and las cannons just to slice off chunks of boats. But they're all ridiculously corrupt as well. So you can just drop some cargo and they'll just be like, nah, we're not chasing them now. We'll just hoof up this stuff and take that in and trade that. You know, they don't take on anything too difficult either. So anybody coming in and out of the pimple, they're like, nah, you're fine. We're not going to go near you.
privateers is the word for them.
Privateer.
They're not pirates. They're privateers because they have a letter of marque from the local enforcer captain saying that they're going around patrolling these waters. And I can just imagine this gang boarding a boat and being like, yep, all right. And the captain and his Makeda Gelt crew are like, what are you talking about? We've got all the paperwork here. And he goes, okay, your paperwork says 23 pallets. I count 24. And they're like, what, 24? And it's like, it's a pallet, but there's nothing on it. Yeah. They're like, that's 24. So one of these pallets has got to come with us. And he just, he leans over the shoulder, Jenkins, Stavros, go pick one of those pallets, put it on the boat. And they're laughing and they're going over it. It's like, oh, it's, starch. Oh, what's that? Brand new auto pistols. Yeah. I think this is the one that shouldn't be here, boss. Yeah. But I've got the paperwork for that. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Now you got 23. What would you rather happen? Me take the whole lot or me take this one? Yeah. What's going to be harder for you to explain to your boss? And then it's like, yep, okay.
You sound like you've done this before, Sam, to be honest.
I used to rob boats. I was actually a pirate off the coast of Somalia for several years.
And then people got wind of your accent. They're like, you don't
You're
really
not the captain.
You're not the captain. But yeah, I would have an enforcer gang that would use their who are they called? The ones with the giant shields. The subjugators, and they would lead from the front of the boat, so they would act as like active shields in front of the boat. So that
what are they called? Pavasses, the big shields.
That
used to use
exactly. Yeah. And so they move out of the way, and then they've got a multi-laser set up, or they've got blokes with rocket launchers, and just pump these ships. So they can actually have boats that don't require a great deal of infrastructure on them to mount heavy weapons. Because the crew members are firing them, and it's the subjugators with their giant shields providing the block. So the small amount of small arms fire that's coming at them, they just simply move out of the way. Okay, fire off a shock pulse or something along those lines. Boom, shuts down the boat. We board it. You shouldn't have been shooting at us, so we're going to kill like 2 of your crew just to prove that you shouldn't have been shooting at us. And we're also going to take X, Y, and Z.
Not even kill them, like run them almost like bad zone enforcers where they're like, listen, you shot at us. I understand it's confusing, a little bit stressful, that's fine. But because you have now shot at enforcers, technically we can arrest all of you, impound the boat, you're all done. And the captain says, no, you can't do that, it'll ruin me, they'll put him in a prison. You'd be like, you're absolutely right. Turns over. What was I named before? Stavros. What do we need? He's like, we need a cook, boss. It's like, go get me your cook. What else do we need? We need 3 engineers. Yep, go get those 4 for me. We'll call it even. And they're like, what? And they're basically like, what's it called? They used to round people up and basically ship them off to the Navy.
Press gang? Was it a
press gang? They're press ganging these men. Yeah. Like, you work for the enforcers now.
Yeah, and they get a shiny badge and whatever the case might be. And they get a rank.
They're not real enforcers.
Yeah,
they're prisoners with jobs.
Yeah.
But then, you're absolutely right. It's just like on these fast interceptor boats, almost like souped up like racing boats. Like the Coast Guard interceptors and that. They're getting in there.
Exactly, but even lighter because, it's the subjugators who actually provide the armour. So you can see them locking themselves onto the deck of the boat, putting up the shield, taking the hits, and then they just open up and all they do is cause chaos on the water, these enforcers. Yeah. When you see them coming, you're just like, we know we're not going to outrun them. So either we can put up a fight or we can just drop some cargo, or we can just hope that they find a tastier target within the next however long it takes for them to get within range of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, just just a bunch of mongrels on the water, really. So
Yeah, I love that.
But still, cops on water. Yes, you need to have some sort of authority out there because it sounds like a bit of a poo fight.
Yeah, but at the same
Worldsump Ocean.
they are enforcing the laws. Like, if they see piracy, they'll go in there, kill the pirates, seize all the pirates' gear, and then say, "Hey, how about a tip for helping you out?" You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've got heaps of this stuff, but still help us. Still ensure that we don't come around and you're our next target. Yeah,
yeah. They're incredibly corrupt, but they still do their job.
Yeah, of course.
So, with both of those there, we are going to call it there. I think this is the shortest episode we've had in, like, months.
Maybe ever, actually.
Except that amazing episode we did for April Fools. So...
Still a winner.
Winner. I finally changed the name of that as well, so hopefully people will stop bullying me. Of the two hides, what's your favourite?
To be honest with you, I was going to say Acropolis to start with. But Quinspirus just, I don't know, it has a whole nother life to it. You know, it has a life in it that doesn't quite match the rest of Necromunda. So I'm going to say Quinspirus. It's won me over.
Good. We would have had to cancel the podcast if you didn't say Quinspirus. I'm a huge fan. Especially that Games Workshop have actually given us rules for boats. Like, I'm a huge fan of this. I think it would be a lot of fun for us to do some water map sort of stuff, some water related combat, especially on boats. Yeah. I really want us to do boats. We should do boats.
We should.
Boats.
I think if you just keep yelling boats into the microphone. Yeah,
when you get back, should we go away on a boat somewhere and play Necromunda?
Play boat-based Necromunda on a boat.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I couldn't imagine anything better. I'm lying,
so glad
obviously.
You said that.
Please don't book me on a boat.
I'm a father of a small child. The only thing I want is 10 hours of uninterrupted sleep. And $23 million. But,
yes,
apart from those two, playing Necromunda boat combat on a boat sounds great. Well, I agree with you. Quinspirus immediately, once we've realised that, there was still an ocean, it was amazing. So I think we are probably going to call it there because it's very late and you actually have to get up for work in the morning.
I do. Quite early too.
I'm going to be driving around for most of the day, so I am actually pretty happy.
I'm happy that you're happy. I'll put it that way.
Excellent. My dude, closing thoughts, what do we got?
Yeah, mate, I really want to explore Quinspirus a little bit more, if I'm honest. I would love to go down and just see what are the other information we can dig out from it. And maybe, I don't know, we can post it up onto the Instagram and so forth. Because it sounds like a very, very cool hive. And the fact that it's over in the Eastern Hemisphere, the fact that it's, a portal for the Palatine Cluster or for Hive Primus makes it just a very, very interesting place for me. Don't get me wrong, Acropolis, still love it. I'm going to definitely head down there for a souva, a rat meat souva. But definitely want to know a lot more about Quinspirus. What about yourself?
Yes, 100%. I would actually love for us to get more information on all the hives we talk about. But Acropolis and Quinspirus have weirdly taken this place of things I want to know the most about. After maybe Hive Secundus and the Skull, I'd love to know more about them. Hive Secundus hopefully coming up. But apart from that, I I want to know more. It's actually something you said. I want to know more about what those Goliath are hauling out of the water, what they're taking out of these settlements.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to play a lot more boat combat. Comboat.
A combo. Let's have a combo.
Let's have comboat.
Oh. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Thank you very much. And I even have a quote all ready to go.
It better be boat based.
It is.
Is it really? Oh, well done. Come on.
It's actually in the form of a song. It's called I'm on a Boat. And no, it's not. Although I can just actually now imagine that scene in Necromunda. They're doing it. I'm on a boat. I'm on a boat. And then a bunch of Orlocks come up, sink their boat, and drive off. But one of them's wearing T-Pain's top hat. No. But we do have a quote. And this one comes to us from the 2023 Core Rulebook. Bad weather on most worlds is heavy rain and a bit of wind. On Necromunda, it'll take your skin off and cook your bones. And that's on a good day. And that's Captain Quinn Tall, Chartist Fleet Master. And that was our latest episode of the Underhive Lorekeepers podcast. I am Spamuel, and on behalf of the Lorekeeper team, thank you for listening. Please follow us on our social media pages available in the show notes, and don't forget to follow and review us on your preferred podcast platform. As always, if you have questions, complaints, corrections, or if you also have 11 cousins named either Nick or Stavros, please reach out to us at underhivelorekeepers@gmail.com. Thanks.